you do fewer jobs and make more money when you charge for the professional services you provide up front.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Level Up. I'm absolutely stoked about this one today. It's going to be an absolutely awesome episode. I won't say too much, but this guy had a big influence on our business and the finances of our business, and I was actually had a chat with him on his podcast about 4 years ago. So big warm welcome to Shawn Van Dyke, author of Profit First for Contractors and keynote speaker. How are you, mate?
Hey, Dwayne, great to see you again, man. It's been like 4 years, and I can't believe how time flies. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's been awesome watching your journey, seeing you like you're full speed ahead now. You got the Built to Build Academy. You're teaching and training and mentoring contractors across the US, keynote speaking. Like you're a busy man.
Yeah, well, I mean, the industry. There's no shortage of contractors that are struggling on the business side. So it's just finding the ones that say, you know what, I'm sick of this. There's got to be a better way. And I certainly don't have all the answers, but I'm pretty good at math. I'm pretty good at the number side and the nerdy stuff that a lot of contractors don't like. So that's where I kind of try to focus and help them out there and say, no, we can make you some more money by doing fewer jobs, saying no. And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, no, mate, I really love what you're doing. I follow a fair bit of your stuff, but I started following you on Instagram, maybe five and a half years ago. We obviously reached out to each other because I think back then you picked up like what you were doing, getting charged for quotes, and like we were in the early days of what we now have as our pack process. So we've trademarked that we put that whole process behind it. But you're really big on that, getting contractors to charge for their time, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm really big on professionals getting paid. I mean, if you think about it, like I just work with contractors, but doctors get paid to do professional stuff. They don't work for free, and lawyers and CPAs, they all get paid to do professional services. So I'm just a big fan of that. And,
you go to any of those other professionals, you have to pay a consultation fee or whatever. So
yeah. I would even say the mechanics, they've got it figured out. You take your car into the shop to get a diagnosis, and they spend a few hours with it or whatever and say, okay, here's what it's going to be. And the customer says, oh, I can watch some YouTube videos on that. And my brother-in-law's got some tools, and I got a buddy that knows how to work on cars. Thanks for, telling me what's wrong. And the mechanics will say, cool, here's an invoice for $95 for the diagnostic. And we pay it because it's a service.
Yeah.
Same thing for contractors, except we are expected to work for free, free estimate and all of that. And I know that you talk about this a lot, but it's just a mindset shift. A lot of contractors say, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. And we're like, no, you can't. You're right. But it is possible. Other people are doing it, and it's just a professional service. So.
And it is a mindset shift, isn't it? But like the thing is, when you come across very confident and professional in what you do, so many people are actually so happy with paying a fee because they see the value in you getting to solve problems and sort things out for them before you actually present a price or sign a contract even. Like it's a no-brainer.
Right. Well, and I'm sure it's like what you teach your clients and what you branded is, I always tell my clients, like, you're not selling a price when you're charging for a proposal. I always may say, oh, estimate. Yeah, sure. Here's an estimate based on whatever information we have floating around the air. But the proposal, that takes some professional work and some time, and maybe it's a little bit of time, but still it's a service you can charge for. But when you're selling even that, we call it paid for planning. You have your pack process. I tell them, you're not selling a price, you're selling a process.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll give you some numbers. Oh, but you want a quote, you want something that we can stand behind or whatever. Yeah, that's going to take some planning, some time, some effort, whatever that is. I don't care if it's an hour or 100 hours. That's worth something. That's what we're charging you for, is the process.
Yeah. And your experience, your knowledge, and like I'm sure it's similar over there when you're doing refurbishment or renovation work. Like there's sometimes you got to go to site, you got to do investigations, you got to find things out, you got to meet with other consultants and liaise with architects. Like it takes a lot of time to pull all that together. And I think, like, I don't know, it's funny now. Like, I just think, how the hell can it be done any other way? Like, it's just,
Yeah, well, I was wondering. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you feel like it's changing over there? Do you see a shift in that it's more acceptable?
100%. So obviously, my business partner in Live Life Build, Amelia Lee, like, I think you've done some stuff with
Yeah,
her on her podcast as well. Like, so she's really a big advocate for it to the homeowner side of things. So we've trademarked that pack process, and that we actually have a page on our website now where people, and we have a little training course, they can get pack trained. And we
yeah,
now have homeowners, designers, architects actually requesting, where can I find a pack trained builder?
that's great.
So
Well, because I would say 4 or 5 years ago when we first met and kind of started talking, it's certainly we were the weirdos.
yeah,
But I feel like over here too, it's more acceptable now. Now it could be just that what I'm seeing and the channels that I pay attention to, but at least more and more people are talking about it, which I think is a great thing.
well, I think that whole stigma around it is going, because there's a lot of people doing it in different ways now, and I think, like, I know from my point of view in my building business, like, we just talk about it openly, like, it's across our socials. We give on-site examples of, we're working through this pack process, we've solved this problem, like, we've done this, we've done that. So, like, people come, like, they know they're going to have to pay us now before they even contact us. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing that. They're putting it on their socials. Like, a lot of our Live Life Build members actually have it on their websites and things now. Like, this is our process. You'll have to pay for it. Like, so it's out there everywhere now, and I think it is fast becoming the standard. If you want a good build, like, this is the only way to start it.
I agree. I agree. Which is, a lot of other difficult things in our industry, but it's nice to see that one thing, trending that way, and it makes a huge. I mean, when I work with my clients, it makes a huge difference. And I know that you've seen this before. They're like, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it until they do it, and they're like, oh, you can do it. And then it changes their business because they're like, it weeds out people. And then you actually get income and you get paid for your time. And the result is, and anybody that's listening to this that's not tried it, you got to try it, whether it's our process or Dwayne's process, his pack process. It never works until it does. And then when it does, it's a game changer.
Yeah,
And I know this sounds like we would say here in the States, snake oil, like you're selling snake oil, but you do fewer jobs and make more money when you charge for the professional services you provide up front.
yeah.
It happens.
I think it's funny because, like, there is people out there that think they're doing the process, and they're not having any success with it. But that is because they don't have a process. They're just trying to charge for a quote.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the whole reason that it's successful. Like, your process and our process, it's actually a process that your contractor, like, can deliver to a client. Like, there's actually these steps you have to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for
That's the magic. If there's any magic, is that it's the clients can see. It's like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. All the stuff you pay for, but here's the result, and here's the benefits to you along the way. And if we don't do this and we don't have any of this information, we're pretty much just guessing. So this is why we have to do this process. And if you don't hire us to do this, you'll find somebody that will not do this process. Good luck.
Yeah, and you'll have a generally a bad experience. But
Yeah.
mate, how's the book going? So you're obviously the author, Profit First Contractors, the American thing.
Yeah.
So we've recently had done a podcast with Katie, the
Yeah.
Australian Profit First for tradies.
Yeah. When she started writing her book, she reached out, and I was just like, God bless you. Like, get this information in more contractors' hands specifically. So I got a chance to talk to her. It was probably a couple of years ago when she was putting the book together, and Profit First for Tradies. It sound you guys. I mean, again, from American, you guys always sound so cool, and even that book, it sounds cooler than Profit First for Contractors.
How's it all
Yeah,
going, mate? Like, that book's been pretty successful for you.
yeah, and I don't know that if we ever talked about this, but I wrote the book when there's no money in writing books. First of all, people are like, oh, I mean, what you see, in these New York Times bestseller and all that. Yeah, those people make money from books, but in general, people that write books, you make almost no money from it. And for me, it was obviously I believed in profit first. I was going through it, and I describe a lot of this in the book how I came about it. But uh, I was like, oh, this will help me get speaking gigs because that's one of the things that I do is travel and speak. And anytime that people are booking speakers, they're just searching construction industry speaker. So by the way, if anybody wants to become a construction industry speaker, here's how you do it. These people that are booking speaking events are going to Google construction industry speaker or whatever industry you're in. They don't know anything about the industry. They're just trying to fill event space and all that kind of stuff. And then depending on where you show up on Google, then they'll look to the side and they'll be like, oh, that person has a book. We should contact them. That was really the point, was to get speaking gigs. And it was designed for me as from a business aspect. It's a really expensive leave behind, a $20 book, give them out at speaking gigs, generates more speaking gigs, and you get some clients from it. That was the whole intention behind it. And then I thought, okay, that's step one. Step two, if anyone actually reads the book, I'd like it to be good. So I better put some time and effort into it. But that was really the thought process behind it. And I don't know, and I think you probably talked to Mike Michalowicz before, or you know who he is. He's he created the Profit First system. So I worked with Mike. He was my mentor because I'd never written a book before. So I worked with him and put it out there, not expecting anyone to really buy it, sell a few hundred copies. But it kind of took off because I had a following on Instagram, and I had been talking about profit first for a long time as I was going through the process, just because I was a fan. And then the book came about. And so when I was like, hey, to my audience, I was like, hey, I got this book if you want to go get it. And people started buying it. So it kind of shot up on Amazon's list there for a little while, which was pretty cool. But then I thought, oh, that'll fade off.
Didn't you put it out on Christmas Day or something?
Here's the tip. Here's a little pro tip. If you want to get a little sticker on Amazon, and this is how unprofessional of a author I was, not knowing anything about the book industry or whatever. So I wrote the book in about 90 days, which is, again, because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I was working with a coach, and basically his course was how to write a book in 90 days. And I'm so dumb, I didn't know that other people take years to write books. And so I just followed, like I've got coaches and all that kind of stuff. I just do what they say. So how to write a book in 90 days, I just followed every step, and the book was done in 90 days. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I was like, this is what people do. And this is what my coach says to do. And then we were building the website and the landing pages and all the other stuff behind the course and all that stuff. And so it got down to be Christmas Eve. Had the book was on Amazon. So by the way, that's another thing. My wife said, when I was writing the book and figuring out how to distribute it and all that, she was like, the only way to get books down to a decent price point for the author, is to order thousands and thousands of them. And she was like, you're not storing thousands of books in this house, And so I was like, oh man, I gotta, so there's things called vanity presses. And then at that time, Amazon book publishing had come out, which is pretty amazing. Anybody could be an author. You write a PDF, you upload it to Amazon. I have no stacks of books. When you order a book, Amazon prints it on demand and ships it to you. So they handle all the distribution. Now, I don't make any money. I mean, hardly, a couple of bucks per book. So that was the idea. I got it uploaded to Amazon. As soon as we got the website, up and live, it happened to be Christmas Eve. And so I just hit, publish on Amazon. And then I think I put something out on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something like that. Like, hey, you can get the book now. Didn't even think anything about it on Christmas Eve. And then we're sitting around Christmas morning, kids are opening gifts and all that kind of stuff. And I go to Amazon to check it. And I was just like, number one bestseller in finance, number one bestseller in home building, a couple of different categories. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a millionaire or whatever. It was only a couple of hundred people, some followers on Instagram that, just like me, sitting around on Christmas morning after the kids open, they're probably checking their phones and let me grab this book, 1995 or whatever. And this is what I figured out is all real authors publish their books so they hit all those lists for Thanksgiving, so people have the actual book for Christmas. Well, when you launch a book on Christmas Eve and no one else in the world is launching a book on Christmas Day, then a couple of dozen orders will shoot you up to the top of the list. And so I told my family, my wife and my mother-in-law and everybody, I was like, pull up your phone, screenshot this. It's only going to last for, a couple of hours. So I don't recommend it. But if you're going to publish a book and you want to get that little Amazon, hot deal or,
Number
number
one
one
seller.
best, yeah, number one best. It only lasted, for about 24, 48 hours. But I was just like, it's like anything, marketing and branding. Once you have that, and I still advertise, hey, Amazon's number one hot new release in finance or business finances or whatever. I mean, that was 2018 or whatever, but
Yeah.
I still use that little tag. It's like, yeah, it's not number one anymore. It was, 5, 6 years ago or whatever. So yeah, that's one of those little happy mistakes. Cause again, sometimes you
It's a
stumble your way to success, I
awesome
guess.
story. You'll be telling that story
Oh
forever.
yeah. Yeah.
But like up until I'd come across you, like I think we might have had 2 or 3 accounts in our business, and then obviously listened to your book, and it expanded to 6 or 7. But like the Profit First is an incredible system, and it's definitely something that's worth looking into. Like, how can you explain it simply for people that have never heard of it before, and how it works?
Yeah. So especially we'll talk specifically to contractors here. Most construction businesses, like any other businesses too, but they have 1 or 2 bank accounts, and all of that money, let's just say in one bank account, it all sits in one bank account. But that money that's sitting in, like it's sitting in one bucket. It's very hard to see what those individual dollars are used for in the business. So the profit first for contractor system, the profit first system is, excuse me, is a way to view the cash in your business for what it should be used for. And so that's why we break it down to the 5 foundational bank accounts. Number 1 is income. We have a bank account. We have a bank account for income. And so that's so we can see all the money that comes into the business. And that's all that account is for. We empty out that bank account into the other 4 bank accounts as we go through the business. But that's just as we call it, a pass-through account. So you can see how much money has come into the business, say on a every 2-week basis, right? Oh, I've got $50,000 that's come in. How do I know that? I can see it. It's in my income account, and then we zero out that account, and then we go on and run the business. And then the next week, we have $70,000 that have come in. So just right there, without looking at a financial statement, without talking to a CPA or a bookkeeper, I know I made more money the past 2 weeks than I did the previous 2 weeks, because I can remember, oh yeah, I think it was like $50,000 a couple of weeks ago. Now it's 70. And so right there, it gives you the opportunity to ask yourself, without doing any deep financial stuff, what did I do differently over the past 2 weeks that increased my income? Whatever that is, I want to keep doing that. And then you go on another 2 weeks, and let's say $30,000 comes in. You go, oh man, it was 70 a couple of weeks ago. What happened in my business that it's down to 30? I need to go fix some stuff. So it's just even that one bank account, the income account, lets you know, what am I doing right? I want to replicate that. And if the income is down, then you can ask yourself, well, what did I do wrong, or what do I need to fix? So that's just one bank account. Now that we have money in the business, we want to set aside the reason that you are in business is to make a profit. So we take a small percentage of that, whatever, and it's different for every business, especially when you're starting out. It usually is very small, but we put that in a profit account and we don't touch it. So at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, no matter what the financial statements say, because they're confusing and they do require accountants to manipulate the math and all of that kind of stuff. But you can look at a bank account and be like, I either have money or I don't have money in my profit account. And the key to it is you put the money in the profit account and then you don't touch it, and you get it out of your view, right? And then, like in most countries, like in Australia and here too, when you make a profit, you're going to pay some taxes on it. And everybody hates paying taxes. But I like to say paying taxes is the sign of a successful business.
Well, most
So
people don't like paying the tax because they haven't got the money sitting around.
yeah,
They've just
they don't have
kept,
the money sitting around
yeah.
because it's sitting in one other bucket, and they react to that. Oh, we got a bunch of money. I can go buy some stuff, or I can go spend some money. I can pay my vendors or whatever. And they operate on that cycle, and then they get down to the end of the year or the end of the quarter, and they say, I don't have money to pay my taxes. Oh, you did. You just spent it on something else.
Yeah.
So not only is it the profit first system a way to view the cash in your business for what it should be used for, it's also a way to prioritize the cash. So we got to have money coming in. That's first. Okay, cool. We got money coming in. We're actually running a business. Now I need to set some profit aside because that's the reason I am in business. If I'm not making a profit, you're not running a business, you're running a charity. And a lot of contractors, especially, are running charities for millionaires.
Yeah.
And I, I don't like that, right? I
Yeah.
don't like running charities for millionaires. So we set profit aside. When we make a profit, we're going to pay some taxes. So we need to set something aside for those taxes. Now that we've got profit taken care of, our taxes taken care of, then the next priority is making sure the owner of the business is paid to work in the business if they are working in the business. Now, you can own a construction company, not work in the business, and you still get paid. You just get paid from the profits of the business. That's the way it works. And that's a big mistake that a lot of contractors make. Maybe they're paying themselves, but they say, "Oh yeah, I'm profitable," because they're able to make a living and pay themselves, but there's nothing left
They're
over.
just they're just using the company credit card, pulling out the money whenever they need it. Like
Yeah.
there's no visual.
And again, maybe there may be nothing wrong with that, but I just say you've just created a job for yourself. You're not
Mm.
actually running a business because a business needs to be profitable, meaning you pay yourself for the work that you do in your business. Just like if you didn't work in your, I would say it like this, and I say it like this in the book. If you got hit by a bus, you have to pay somebody to do all of the jobs. And if there's
Yeah.
no money left over after you pay that person to do all the jobs you were doing, then you're not profitable. So that's the fourth bank account is the owner's compensation. We set a certain percentage of every dollar that comes in to make sure that the owner is compensated for working in the business. So now we've got income, profit, tax, and the owner's compensation, or we call it owner's comp. Then the last thing, the fifth bank account, it usually has the most money in it, but it comes last in the list of priorities is the OPEX account. All right, this is how we operate our business. That's what we pay all of our bills out of. And when we can see our money, instead of in one bucket, one bank account, we have it in these 5 different bank accounts, then it becomes really clear. Like, I don't have enough money in my OPEX account to operate the business. I'm paying myself, I'm setting something aside for profit and for taxes. What's wrong with my business? When you don't have money in your OPEX account to pay your bills, that is your business screaming at you to say, operate differently. Don't
Yeah.
steal from the profit. Don't steal from the government. Don't work for free, owner's comp. Change the way you operate your business. And people say, well, what do I need to do? Well, I don't know. It depends. A lot of it starts with, why don't you get paid for the professional service? It comes full
Yeah.
circle. Start
Yeah.
charging more. Start working for the right clients. Stop working for the wrong clients, and change the way you operate your business. And I tell people that they'll hear the different bank accounts, and I know it sounds confusing, but Profit First is actually a very simple system. You
It's
can
so
install.
it just makes everything so clear. Like we have another business, Quotes, which is a helps contractors, builders, traders, whoever present their like put together proposals for their clients, and we actually the way that it calculates all the costs is split up differently. So it works out all your actual cost to actually build the project, and like labor, materials, all those types of things, and then it's got another adds on your overhead and all your running costs, and then it adds on your profit that you want your business to make, and then it adds on, like over here it's GST, so your GST, which is a tax on all those items, and then it gives you a total. And it's funny because that's pretty much how we set up our accounts, and then we have the other account, like you said, for our owner's salary and those types of things. So it's funny, like a lot of contractors, builders, whatever, are actually calculating their costs when they're pricing a job these different ways. But then when the money comes in, they're just putting it all in the one account and they don't know where it all goes. So
Yeah, and
it's
I say that the Profit First system works more on human psychology than it does on math. Don't get me wrong. There's math that's underlying that, because we're going to rely, as I always say, hey, you can disagree with my business tactics and my strategies, and maybe you don't charge for quotes or whatever. All right, we can have a debate about that. But what we're not going to debate is the math of your business. I didn't invent the math. God did. He's not changing it. So that's the underlying truth to everything. And if you don't have the money to operate your business, then the math of your business is messed up. And if you go ask a CPA or a bookkeeper or even a CFO or somebody with, I always say somebody with letters after their names, they probably know the math, but they don't know how the business works.
Yeah, I like
So
that you touched on just then when you were talking about working for the wrong client, because you can. I think this is a huge thing. Like, so many people are doing all their work for the wrong types of clients, which is taking up so much more of their time. If they actually focused on attracting the right type of clients, they could actually run a more profitable business, get more work done. And I think, I think these days with social media, like, everyone sees these other builders and things having all these tens of thousands of followers, and they think they need the same. But like, if you're a builder that's only doing 5, 6 big jobs a year, or you're a contractor that's doing, I don't know, say 30 jobs a year, like, you don't need thousands of followers. Like, you want followers that are committed to you, that are following you because they like what you're doing and are one day going to build with you. So I think people get so crazy, they just want to chase, and they end up chasing the wrong types of clients, and that just is wasting everyone's time.
yeah, when I'm working with builders, one of the things that we look at is what are the filters that you have in place so that your prospects or your leads know that you're not the right fit for them. And if they don't have enough filters in place, I'm like, oh, that's one of the problems. You're the only filter. And if you're the only filter, then when you get desperate, you're going to say yes to the job. But if you have things in place, and it can be as simple as, your social media, what you say and what you post, and what your process is, like right there, showing someone you've got a process to go through that benefits them, but it also requires them to do some things. Not everybody's going to want to do all those things. They just want to call a contractor, get a price, and then, as I say, they want to put a boot on your neck the whole time. So you got to put some filters in place. That's one of the big things, is like, how are you saying no to the wrong people? Because you don't have enough time to physically say no to the wrong people. What a great problem to have is that, if people come to me a lot of times and say, Shawn, I need to work on my marketing. And I'm like, marketing's not your problem. You're not charging enough. You haven't identified the right type of projects, because if we turn this marketing machine up, you don't have the systems in place to say no. That's going to put you out of business. So one of the things I look for is what we call the filters. How are you filtering out your leads and your prospects? Now, some of them, you'll change their mind, meaning they probably come to you with the wrong mindset of what a contractor is, how should they operate. But because you've got a process dialed in and you've got it spelled out, and it's very simple for them to understand, some of those maybe potentially bad customers, you can transform them into great customers because of your process. But other than that, if they don't want to get on board with the process, I just say, hey, don't tell those bad clients, hey, we're not a good fit for you, but don't worry. Just keep calling contractors. Eventually someone will give you the price that you're looking for. Now, you won't get the project you described, the experience that you described, but you'll find a contractor. That's not a problem at all.
It's unreal. Like, I think back, when we started getting better at running the business, and I'm a huge fan of data now. I think data is the most important thing across the business. And we went back, like, we had the data there. We'd just been doing nothing with it. And like, when we were basically tendering and pricing for free, we worked out that I think it was like for an 8-year period, we'd averaged pricing. Our average amount of tenders we'd done each year was 43. And in that period, the most jobs we ever done was 13. So like, there was 30 jobs that we were just wasting time. And now with the process we have now, we're pretty much averaging sort of 14 to 18 people that go through our pack process, but we're doing 14 to 18 jobs.
Yeah.
Like, and we're getting paid for the proposals. So, and our fee's quite high now because our process is very detailed. We get involved with all the designing and everything, but like, I just feel value in every single part of my business now. Like, I'm not dragging my feet around, this client's wasting my time, or this client's expecting to meet me after hours or on a Saturday. Like, we are setting the standards, and we're attracting clients that want to treat us or see us as a professional. And it's just incredible how it just doesn't change your business. It changes your whole life, changes your mindset, changes your confidence. Like, it's huge.
Yeah, and like what you said was so key there about having the data to say, okay, we do 14 to 18 jobs a year, whatever that is. Like that's kind of our sweet spot. But you have to have the data that comes before you get a client. The way we define it, before you get a client, you have a prospect. Before you have a prospect, you have a lead, and before you have a lead, you have people call them impressions or eyeballs. You got to know what those numbers are so that in the day to day, when you're getting all of those no's, it can feel really bad as a business owner, like, oh, that's another no. But when you understand that, like, if we're doing 14 jobs a year, it means that we're probably having 50 conversations, which means we have 200 people seeing our stuff or interacting in that way. Then it's like, oh, wait, we need 200 leads that lead to 100 prospects so that we only get the right 14. I mean, if you think about that, it's like you need 200 conversations, so you get 14 jobs. That's what 186 no's that
Yeah,
you're going to get.
it's
So when
insane.
you're on the phone or you're meeting with somebody and you're thinking, yeah, this isn't a good fit, instead of being kind of depressed about like, oh, there's another no, it's like, cool. That's one. I got to get 186 of these in order to find the 14 that I need. It changes the mindset to be like, cool. As soon as you know it's a no, or they say it's a no, awesome. I mean, provide them with value and help them out, but like get on to the next one, because that's another. Even though it's a no, it's a win in your column saying the next one's out there, and based on the data, it says we need 200 of these to get 100 of these to get 14 of these. You start putting those filters in place as you practice that more and more, and you realize, oh, I don't have to have a phone conversation with 200 people. I can send them a video or an email that describes the process. And some of them right there, they'll unsubscribe, they'll delete, they'll never call you back. Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say is when you're practicing this and you decide, okay, I'm gonna start selling this process. The first couple of times, then use the word normally. So you're talking to a client and you're nervous about explaining the process and charging it. Then just use the word normally and say, normally we charge whatever for this, but for you, we'll do something different, and give them a deal. Right? The first time, it's not about the money that you're charging; it's about selling them on the process. So
Yeah,
use that word normally, and it's the law of reciprocation. They feel like they're getting something. And you get the benefit of practicing that for the first time. So say, hey, normally you charge $5,000 for this, but for you, we'll do it for 2,500. Blah blah blah, and you'll get the client. You'll blow them away. You're going to add more value, do a bunch of extra stuff for them, so that when you're done with them, you get them to say like, oh yeah, we called Blaine, and he had this process in his one. They're not going to say, oh yeah, he gave us a deal. In fact, I tell them, like, say, hey, use the word normally. You charge X. For you, we'll charge Y. Don't tell anybody, because
yeah,
we like you. You're cool.
yeah. Like, so what do you like now that you've got all these clients that you work with? Like, what's the best part for you? Like, what do you love seeing them improve their business? Do you love seeing them get more free time, or like what's the driver that just keeps you pushing to keep improving what you're teaching them? I guess.
Yeah, I get messages all the time from people I never even work with about how Profit First has changed their life. And it usually comes down to time, time with the family, being able to take a vacation and that kind of stuff. And that's, I mean, I could ride to the sunset with those type of messages. But what really gets me, like, I had a guy that he just emailed me out of, we did a live event last year in Austin, Texas, and he was one of our members there. And we covered a lot of business stuff or whatever, and just dialing in like what it is to run an actual business, what systems, what things you need in place. And he emailed me just a few weeks ago and said that morning of the event, they found out his wife had breast cancer. So they were getting ready to go into this 2-year long ordeal of life-changing stuff. And when he contacted me back, he said if it hadn't been for some of the systems and the paid for planning and some of the other things we talked about there at the event, he would have been ruined. But because he had these things in place, they were able to weather that storm. And for me, that's like That's what it's about. It's like life is going to hand you some rough stuff. One of the things that you have 100, almost 100% control of is how you determine to run your business. That stuff in life is going to happen. And if you can step away from your business or have your business help support you through that instead of having two burdens to carry at the same time, that's what really excites me. I mean, yeah, it's great that they're making more money, better clients, we're doing higher and stuff. But I would say that life's going to come and start smacking you around. And the last thing you need to do is have a business stuff also smacking you around. Now, I can't do anything about the life stuff, but what we can do is the business. And that for me really motivates me. And that story is the guy's wife went through the treatment. She's doing great and all that kind of stuff. And he was able to keep his business going and doing well at the same time, care for his family because of the systems he had in his business. And that's real stuff.
Well, imagine just the stress it would have taken off him knowing that the business was operating, it was profitable. Like it's plays such a massive part. Like I'm interested to see what feedback you get over there. Like I know here, the biggest excuse we get for people not taking the jump to improve their business is time. Like everybody says, "Oh, I haven't got enough time." Like, and I just tell them, "Well, you've got the time. You're just not prioritizing things."
Yeah, I'll say that's the great equalizer between unsuccessful people and successful people. We all have the same thing behind, and it's just what are successful people doing that make a difference. And when I'm saying successful people, you can certainly have you have people out there that make a ton of money, but their life is miserable. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about truly, as we call it here, I call it life profit, time, energy, and money. The time is the great equalizer between all that, and successful people that have, I don't like to say a balanced life. I don't like the work-life balance sort of thing. But because there are times where you got to focus on the business, there's times you got to focus on your life, and it's back and forth. So I don't try to keep things in balance, but all successful people that have great business, great employees, great clients, if you look at their calendar or you look at their schedule, they have priorities. This is what I do on Mondays. This is what I do on Tuesdays. This is what I do on Wednesdays. I do this once a month or every couple of weeks, and I do this quarterly. And I would say your calendar should show a very boring life. I just do the same things and at this frequency and put it on repeat. And that ultimately leads to success.
It's structure, isn't it? It's structure, it's commitment, it's consistency. Like, and it ties into with what we're just talking about with choosing the wrong clients. Like if you're not structured and have scheduled and you value your time, those wrong clients are taking it all up, and you're wasting so much time. Like, and that's where it comes back to prioritizing your time. Like I value my time enormously. Like it is the number one thing. Like we tell clients when they can meet me. Like I'm not like, it's not like, hey, let us know when you can meet and we'll see if we can fit it in. Like these are the times that I can meet you. If they don't work, we'll give you some more times, but you've got to value your time, don't you? And that's probably the number one thing. Like if people can put some value on their time and start prioritizing their time, generally that is all, like that's what they need to take that step to start putting time into systems and processes and courses and all those types of things.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a great example. We talked earlier about what are the filters you're putting in place. That is one of those filters that not only helps establish you as the expert as far as the client's concerned, but that there is a process when a client's like, okay, cool, yeah, we'd like to work with you or want some more information. When can you come out here? Instead of just saying, oh, let me take a look at my calendar and say, oh, well, great. We do appointments on Tuesday morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or Thursday evening or Thursday late afternoon, 4 to 5. That's our appointment. That's a little filter. If someone says like, oh, well, I can't meet during those times. Okay, well, let's take a look at the next week on Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. No, you have to design your that schedule a little bit, especially if you're doing renovations. You're going to be in people's homes when they're there, so you might have to have an appointment time that's in the evening. But that's one of those ways to set up those filters. Say, okay, cool. Here's our appointment times. Which one works best for you?
Yeah.
And when someone says, well, none of those work for me, then they're not ready to work with a professional, because you can't. It's the same thing like calling up a doctor. You can't call up a doctor and be like,
hey, I'd like to swing by after my kid's soccer game on a Saturday. You're not going to do that. You're going to call the
Yeah.
doctor, and you're not even going to speak to the doctor. You're going to speak to somebody sitting at the front desk. And they're going to give you the appointment times that are available. Sure, you can go sit in their office and wait all day. They're going to see you during a specific appointment time. And no one would call a doctor and be like, yeah, I'm just going to swing by. Why? Because they're a professional and you got to book an appointment with them.
Yeah.
Contractors the same way.
And a doctor just wouldn't take it, would they? Like that's the thing. Our industry needs to up its game. Like one of the things I say is it's okay to say no. Like you do not have to please you do not have to do what a client wants you to do. Like it's your business. You set the rules.
Yeah.
It's I think so many people you would know in our industry, like they're chasing their tail constantly. They're stuck in that cycle. They need that next job to help pay the bills from the last one. So like as soon as they get a call from a client that wants to meet them on a Sunday, they're like, yeah, no worries, I'll be there, because they're having to survive off getting that job.
Yeah, and that's like where I go back to the word normally. Hey, maybe it could be the right client in the right neighborhood, the right architect, and the next project that takes you to the next level. And that person can only meet on Sunday. Yeah, I'm running out there, but it's because it checks off these boxes, and I'm going to say, okay, normally make an appointment during these times, but for you, we'll be happy to come out on Sunday and take a look at this, because we're really excited because it's the right project, the right neighborhood, all of these things. You take it, you kind of depersonalize it a little bit and say, this is why we're doing this special thing. And if we do the special thing, then you're going to be required to do some special stuff for us, which is pay us for all of it. I'll run out there, and that's where the sale happens, especially in home construction. You need to meet with someone personally. Those are much more rare than if you just said, there's our appointment times, which one works best for you. You'll find that people, this comes into prioritizing time, that most people, most of your clients, I'd say 99% of your clients, are not in control of their own schedule as well. If you are a 1% that is in control, it's just easier to default to your schedule. Yeah. And so that's why I tell all of our clients, one of the first little systems to put in place is an automated calendar. Hey, you want to meet? Cool. Here's a link. Book anytime it's open. Yeah. And it's just easier for your clients to click the thing and make the appointment than to do the email and text back and forth. Well, what about Tuesday at this time? What about Thursday at this time? Just send them a calendar, and right there's a process. And it starts to ingrain in the client's mind, oh, we're dealing with a professional here. I can't push them around. And if they don't click that appointment, then you've got to make it easy for them. Click the thing, like that's pretty standard now.
You're setting a standard. Like you're setting a standard for the whole process.
Oh,
like, right from the beginning.
You run around at night and make this appointment, or whatever you're satisfied to do anytime. When you're in the middle of the project, it's just going to go wrong. It always goes wrong. Right? You're expected, because from the very beginning, you just respond to everything. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to respond to everything that comes up.
Yeah, no, it's such a simple thing. So we do a little bit similar to that, but my thing with that is if they like we're really big on where we schedule our meetings. So like if we're meeting clients in the same area, we're not driving from one side of town to the other side of town, all those types of things. So like when we give them times, the times are based around when we're in their area. So we're not wasting time driving backwards and forwards all the time. But it is the simplest things that can make the biggest difference. Like just that alone. Like the other big thing that we tell people is you've got to set business hours. Like on email signatures and everything, like when does your business operate? Like if you can't blame a client for ringing you at 8:00 at night if they don't know the hours that your business operates. Like come on, just put some business hours on there. It's simple.
Yeah, well, and also too, when that client, you've got to give them, especially if you're doing a renovation, living in the home, and all of these things. But you've got to set some rules for them. Like, hey, if it's an emergency, I'll say if someone's bleeding or something's on fire, here's the emergency way to contact them.
Yeah.
But that's it. If you contact us through this and it's not an emergency, you're just like, we're not sure what the paint color should be in the master bathroom. You've got to push back a little bit and say, hey, we'll deal with this on Monday morning. Don't do this again. This isn't the way to do this. Because if you don't set that barrier up, that's just the way they're going to. even if you have other systems in place, if you allow them to text you at 10 o'clock at night, then you said, well, this is the system you can have, and then they will.
Yeah.
It will be like abuse, but they'll just see it as a use. This is how we use the system, and I can text Wayne whenever I want, and he'll respond.
Yeah. So, mate, where you're heading from here? Like, what's the plans for the future, mate? Like, you got the built to build academy. That's obviously going very, very well. Is that that's
so we've got that up and going. We've been doing that we launched the academy in 2020, in March of 2020. So I had this great idea of like, okay, I'll move from one-on-one coaching to group coaching and all these other things, and we'll launch it March 2020. And then the whole world, shut down. And I thought, well, that was fun running that business. I guess we'll have to figure out something else to do. But I think we had already set some things up before the pandemic, being online and being virtual. So business actually, really blew up in 2021, 22. So what we're finding is we coach more and more clients. The next thing that I'm working on is taking it more to an agency model. So we'll have the coaching, but one of the barriers that we're finding is we coach contractors. Okay, here's the system you put in place. Here's how to do it, and we walk them through that. Sometimes they don't have the ability, they don't have the team or the resources to be able to go and implement. So I'm working on building out what I call an operational systems agency, and it's a done for you model. Like the coaching is, it's done with you, right? Let's hand in hand, we'll walk you through. But it's really up to the client to go do the implementation, and that's fine. That works, and that's what some people can afford for their business. But I just see this opportunity to do a done for you model, and what that is, like you before, is an operational systems agency. It's kind of like a bookkeeping agency where you would send your bookkeeper your transaction, and they go and reconcile those transactions and put them into your accounting, and then give you some reports or whatever. We're doing the same thing with contractors' data to say, all right, your business is producing data every day. You're going to send us the data. We're going to analyze it for you, and then build out your dashboards and develop KPIs and the implementation. So that's really I've been testing that out with some one-on-one clients for the past couple of years and getting ready to launch that. So that's pretty exciting to have. Hey, you need some coaching. You want somebody to kind of walk with you hand in hand and show you and coach you. Great. Or you've got a gap in operational implementation. Okay, send it to us. We're going to do it. We're going to do it for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. Like the team is a big part of it, isn't it? Like that seems to be the next hurdle. Like there's a lot of people out there that want to get the help and put the time in, and then they struggle to. That's another big thing I go on about. Like you cannot do things on your own. Like you cannot run a successful construction business on your own.
Yeah. I find that every business owner that is successful, meaning that they have some margin in their life, like the business doesn't take all of them. You'll talk to any one of them, and I would say there's an inflection point where they're the smartest person, they have the most experience, and they have their hands in the most stuff. And then there comes an inflection point where they say, I've got to find people smarter than me. That doesn't mean that they have more experience. But so, for example, like you said, we'll say, you're a pretty skilled carpenter, and I'm guessing that it probably took you 7 to 10 years to get to the point where you pretty much knew everything, about how to run a job and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm talking about is not someone smarter than you, is someone that maybe only has 3 years of experience, but they're better at one thing than you were 3 years in. It may not be smarter than you overall, but in that one area, they're like a superstar compared to you. Right? So when you look at successful business owners, they all have people where they can point to them. They're like, man, I'm glad I got that estimator. I was estimating and knew everything about estimating, but that guy or that gal knows way more than I do. That's all they do is estimate. All they do is operations. All they do is management. And so when you see successful business owners, you'll see a team, and the owners will be like, yeah, I'm the dumbest person here. I just found people smarter than me and enable them to go do their best work.
Yeah, you don't have to be doing everything. You just need to make sure everything's getting done.
Yeah, you still got to own the business. There's a whole other job out there. Then when you get a really, even a small group of really smart people, then your job changes. It's no longer about the construction. It's about the people development, because smart people are smart people and they've always got opportunities. So your job becomes making sure they have the best opportunities here. And the crappy part about that is that you might provide really great opportunities, but really good all-star people, they move on. It has nothing to do with your business. It has to do with that person. And sometimes your really good people are on a growth path that's faster than your business. And that sucks to lose really great people. You have to think about, man, if they go on to some level of success, they're going to point back to us as a stepping stone or the reason they were able to do that. Don't get me wrong. It sucks to lose really great people, but sometimes really great people move on because you're just a step in their ultimate success, which is going to lead to other employees, because they'll hear that, how did that person get to be there? Oh, well, I spent 3 years working for Wayne. Yeah. That's where you need to go. And people that leave become your best recruiting tool.
I think it
still sucks.
It always sucks, but I think that's been a big mindset shift for me in the last few years, like that. But I encourage that now. Like, I encourage people to learn and ask me questions, and I'll help them out with whatever they need to help. And if they want to go out on their own, that's fine. And exactly like you say, like, those people will tell other younger people that want to come through and they want to learn from us. So you end up getting a culture of this awesome team that is always growing and improving things. And like, if you're attracting those types of people that are on that growth rise and want to keep learning, they're going to make your business better and better, because as they're growing, your business is improving. So it's a win-win for everyone. It is a bit of a pain in the ass every time you got to find the new one, but it's not a bad position to be in when you're attracting people that want that growth.
Yeah, I don't know who originally said it, but people say, "Oh, you spend all this time training these people and putting the culture in place and getting systems dialed in, and do really well, and then they leave." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sucks." But the alternate of that, and I didn't come up with this. It's like, well, what if we, the question is, what if we train them and they leave? But the other side of that is like, what if you don't train them and they stay? Right. Yeah. So I'd rather have the other, like, hey, you can look at employees and say, like, is this person a franchise player or are they an all-star? And they both come with their pluses and minuses. Some people that just want a good job, they want a good culture, they want a good boss, they want some opportunity, and they will be with you forever. And those people are great. And some people drop into your business for 2 years, 3 years, and then they're going to be gone. Yeah. And that's fine too. I want both. I want my franchise players and I want my free agents, so to speak, because both of those people affect the business in different ways. You just have to. Not everybody's a franchise player, and not everybody is going to be a free agent and just hop around or whatever. And you just gotta learn to balance that a little bit and just say, like, yeah, I want people, if they leave here, I want them to leave and go have more success. That will trickle back down to me.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, we'll have to wrap it up. I'm sure you got stuff to get off and start your day over there. It's nearly 7 a.m. in the morning over there now.
7 a.m. The kids and the dogs start running around here, and then we'll get kids off to school, and then it'll quiet down for a few hours. But
yeah, well, mate, look, I could definitely. It's 9 p.m. here. I could talk all night. So thanks so much for taking some time out this morning and starting your day by having a chat to us, and really appreciate your knowledge and your time, and definitely, obviously, the profit purse for contractors played a big role in the way we run our business four odd years ago. So, mate, look forward to seeing all your success and the Built for Build Academy growing and expanding. And hopefully we can have another one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to do it. Thanks for having me on, Dwayne.
Cheers, mate. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.